Hello and welcome back to our little Formula 1 season 2012 in Automobilista 2 in virtual reality. With kind of a chaotic Monaco Grand Prix out of the way, we are heading overseas for this round of the championship. We're here in Montreal at the Circuit Gilles-Villeneuve for the Canadian Grand Prix. Today we'll be racing as young Daniel Ricciardo in his first full season of Formula 1 in the Toro Rosso. In his second race for the Red Bull Junior team, he is eager to show what he is capable of. We'll start this race just after taking a look at the starting grid for today. And it is Lewis Hamilton after a disappointing race in Monaco starting from pole position. And second is Sebastian Vettel. Behind them it is Kimi Räikkönen, Fernando Alonso, Jenson Button, Mark Webber, Kamui Kobayashi, Nico Rosberg, Nico Hülkenberg starting from 9th. And 10th is Felipe Massa. On the second page, we'll see Pastor Maldonado starting ahead of Romain Grosjean, Sergio Perez, Michael Schumacher disappointing starting a grid position in 14th, Daniel Ricciardo ourselves starting from P15, and then it is Bruno Senna, Paul Di Resta, Jean-Eric Vergne, Heikki Kovalainen and Vitaly Petrov for the rest of the grid. And here we are on the grid as Daniel Ricciardo, and it's 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go, and we get kind of a good start. We're already alongside Michael Schumacher in 14th. Now for the first corner, this is always kind of tricky and you need to be very cautious going through here, as cars like to tangle here on the opening lap. We didn't take the ideal line, so our teammate Jean-Eric Vergne, who had a fantastic start, made it past ourselves, so we are now down in P16, but nothing to worry about, as overtaking on this track is is working pretty well, so it's not nearly as hard as it is in Monaco. With the long straights here, this should really be no problem, but of course you need to be quick enough, and for now we seemed like we had to even look in our mirrors as Bruno Senna was trying to attack us in some of the last chicanes. Now for the first time through that hairpin here, and now the very long straight. This is where we will probably see most of the overtaking action going on. And with Kurz we are now making it past our teammate pretty easily, so we are back in P15 and now setting after Michael Schumacher once again, who is still in 14th. Now with the first lap completed, you can see the top 10 as they are running right now on the bottom of your screen, as we are being attacked by Jean-Eric Vergne, which we didn't see, so we almost turn into him. And well, we lose the spot we just gained on the long straight. Now there's already kind of a gap to the cars ahead as we try to go side by side here, but we back out of that move to not collide with our teammate. Bruno Senna still behind us, looking for a chance to make it past. Later on in the race there will be 3 DRS zones, the first of which is on that straight we just passed, and the second is on the long straight towards the final chicane after the hairpin that is coming up here. And then another DRS zone on the pit straight. Of course, DRS only being activated in lap 3, so we won't have it right now, but we saved our entire curse boost for this lap for the long straight. Vergne didn't seem to have done that, so it should be another straightforward overtake. Well, a little later on the brakes this time, and not as easy as it was the last time around. But we still made it past our teammate and are now again back in P15. Let's see if he's trying to do another overtake into the first corners, which he doesn't do this time. So now we should really be able to set after Michael Schumacher. Well, and Schumacher has made up a couple of spots, so it's now Sergio Perez in the Sauber. That is in P14 ahead of us, and we are already in his DRS range, as indicated by the little sound you just heard. You can also see it there on the steering wheel, if we can activate DRS and if DRS is activated. Now we are very close, and this might be the first time we are able to attack Sergio Perez once again on the long straight, where we overtook Vern already twice, and we're now past Sergio Perez. But yeah, we outbrake ourselves very late on the brakes, too late on the brakes actually, so we have to take the shortcut and let Perez by once again. But now this fight has become a 5-way fight for P12, I believe it is. Ahead there, this is Nico Hülkenberg, who was starting in P9, but has lost a lot of ground now. Schumacher already passed that entire group, so he is making up ground after the disappointing qualifying yesterday, the winner of the Monaco Grand Prix. Now this will be getting a lot harder for us to make a move against Perez, as he will now also have DRS on the long straight. Now we try to get the better exit, but he has the better line and the better traction, but still we get a good slipstream, and even though he also has DRS, we make it past Perez, but this time be a lot more careful with our braking point. But Perez brakes alongside and pushes us almost off the track there. And a lap later, we see the battle ahead of us really being fought out aggressively, with almost 3 cars going wide into the final chicane. Now into turn 1, Maldonado and Perez really going at each other. Hülkenberg still able to stay in 12th. Now we are trying to look around the outside to see if we can sneak past one of the battling cars ahead of us, which we didn't, as they are still battling ferociously ahead of us. Now the next DRS zone and the next chance for anyone to make a move. Maldonado should be able to make it past Hülkenberg with DRS, but look at it. Perez looking down the inside of the Venezuelan. And now towards the hairpin, this might be a chance for a surprise overtake. Maldonado this time looking around the outside of Hülkenberg, but allowing Perez to get side by side with him. Perez now with a good chance against Maldonado, but they seem to have used KERS already, and we make it past with our battery and are making up 2 grounds on the same straight, which is amazing for us, as we are now able to set past Nico Hülkenberg in 12th. Maybe we can use our DRS to make it past the Force India. He, of course, the only one that has that isn't allowed to use DRS, but he is doing an absolutely great job of defending, as neither Maldonado nor Perez made it past now a couple of laps in a row despite having DRS. Now here we don't really get a good exit out of that corner ahead of the first DRS straight, which makes us unable to make a pass into the following chicane. We get a poor exit out of them, as we are too eager on the throttle. But we might still be close. No, we're definitely not close enough to make a move against Hülkenberg. Even though we can now use DRS and our entire KERS boost. Oh, but look at that. Actually, maybe we might even be able to pull off a move. We are past, but don't get the good exit. So Hülkenberg is ahead once again, but we are allowed to use DRS once more. So this might be another chance into turn 1. Oh, we back out of that move, and now it's Maldonado on our outside, and we touch as Maldonado turns in pretty sharp into that corner. I feel like he turned in on us, but hard to see that or to judge that fairly from the cockpit. And now we are down in 15th and behind our teammate once again. But now once again we made it past our teammate easily with DRS and KERS, and now back in 15th as we were 16th earlier, not like I said before. And now set after Hülkenberg once again. And we're now approaching the hairpin once again to meet a scary sight as we see Sergio Perez rolling his car over. So there must have been a terrible accident just ahead of us, and I wouldn't be surprised if Maldonado was involved in that as well. And Maldonado seemed to have made it past Nico Hülkenberg finally. So we are now chasing Hülkenberg in 13th, but we will go into the pits as we just made it past with DRS for our one and only pit stop, pretty much at the halfway point of this race. And there at the end of the pit lane, there is our pit crew, as we are looking for a fast pit stop, as they're just changing the tires, and it's a 5.7 seconds, not the greatest stop of all time. But now with fresh tires and a clean road ahead of us, we come out in P16 behind our teammate and Bruno Senna, but as I said, with fresh tires and an open road ahead of us. Well, and we already caught up to Bruno Senna in the Williams ahead of us. For the first time we are now in DRS range, but we won't be able to make a move into that corner. But now we are close enough to maybe try something in the hairpin, and if we don't get it done there, then we definitely will be able to pull off a move on the long straight after the hairpin. Looking for a good line and a good exit out of that corner, which we do get. And now using our KERS and from here on also DRS to stream past the Brazilian to make it up into P15 again, just where we started. But of course it is now very important for us to set quick and good lap times on these tires, not to get held up by any car ahead of us, as we are trying the undercut on Hülkenberg and especially Pastor Maldonado, so we don't have to overtake him again and don't risk clashing with the driver known for his aggressive driving style. As we are now right on the back of our teammate once again and looking to make it past him for a 4th time in this race. And we will probably do it once again on the long straight behind the hairpin. And well, you have to say that it's a little too easy to overtake there with the help of DRS and slipstream and KERS. And well, we should be able to do that once again here with DRS. We are getting close and we are getting past Jean-Eric Vergne ahead of the chicane. Choose our braking point well so we don't run wide here once again. And let's look how we are running right now. Raikkonen and Webber leading this race, but they haven't stopped yet. Vettel, Hamilton and Alonso, the top 3 that have already made their pit stop. Then Schumacher without a stop. This should be a driver we are running against as well. Then Button, Rosberg, Massa and Maldonado right now in 10th, who hasn't stopped. This is the driver we are racing against right now. Hülkenberg as well. Kobayashi, then Grosjean also ahead of us. They already made their pit stop, and Grosjean actually made a very early pit stop, so late in the race we maybe be able to catch up to him as well. So, and now into lap 30. Everyone has made their pit stops right now. 6 laps to go, including this one. And we are a little closer to the points once again. We can already see Schumacher racing ahead of us. And we are only 5 seconds behind Grosjean in 10th, who is really struggling with tires. As we had a pretty dull race up until that point, but it might just come alive in the final laps of this race. And now, with 3 laps to go, we can already see Grosjean and Schumacher fighting for the final point in this race. And as Grosjean is now holding up the Mercedes driver, we should be able to close up even further to them, to try and race them for the final point, and of course our first point, not only of this season but the entire career. And we should be in DRS range right now, but Schumacher ahead of us is trying to make it past Grosjean, which he did in the first DRS zone, the first time asking, and the 7-time world champion is passed. So we are now looking to make it past Grosjean as quick as we can. This is our first chance, the long straight leading towards the pit straight. But Grosjean now also able to use DRS, so it shouldn't be too easy. But with curves, we also make it past, or we still make it past. But Grosjean, he isn't giving up that final point, as he is very late on the brakes and brakes past ourselves once again. So this could be bye-bye to our first point of the season and our career, as Schumacher might now be able to pull away, but Grosjean is still fighting on his old tires to stay within DRS range of Schumacher, to maybe try and get back into 10th, which doesn't look like it so far. Little bit of a gap now for Schumacher, but just not enough to get rid of Grosjean in his DRS range. And now there's a lapped car in the way, the Force India of Paul di Resta. This could really be interesting. This is the penultimate lap, and we are very late on the brakes for a surprise move against Romain Grosjean, and it works. We are past the Frenchman, as we see that Schumacher is now passing Paul di Resta, or Paul di Resta is letting him by. As I've said, he's a lap down, and it is very crucial for us now to make it past the Scotsman as quick as we can, but he's blocking us into the final corner as we are trying to set after Schumacher. And Schumacher, of course, has DRS now as well, so he might be able to pull away as di Resta lets us pass into turn 1. And, oh, this is very, very close. This is now the final lap of this race. We are in 11th. Ahead of us is Michael Schumacher on pretty fresh tires, as he was one of the last drivers to make his pit stop, which so far seemed to have worked quite well for him. But are we able to make a move? Now we are still within DRS and using a little bit of our curse boost to stay with him, as the most important part of the track comes here. The DRS detection is right here, and we are close enough, and now it is very crucial to get a good run through that hairpin and to stay as close with Schumacher as we can. And now, of course, getting a good exit out of that corner, and now using the remaining curse boost, which is still quite a lot, and from here on we can use DRS. It looks like Schumacher is far away, but we are gaining quickly, and around the outside. Now, very late on the brakes, we block his line as we make it past Schumacher in the final corner of this race to score our first point in the final corner, in the final lap of this race. And let's look at the final results of this race. Vettel wins ahead of Hamilton and Fernando Alonso. Then it is Jenson Button in 4th. So finally a good race for McLaren after a disappointing Monaco Grand Prix for both of their drivers. Raikkonen finally finishes his race after he almost won in Monaco, but only in 5th this time. Then it is Webber in 6th, Rosberg 7th, Massa 8th, Kobayashi scoring points again for the Sauber team, and then ourselves, after that absolutely fantastic battle with Schumacher and Grosjean, take the final point of this race. And this is what that means for the Drivers' Championship. Vettel takes the lead of the championship ahead of Alonso, 13 points the gap between these two. And then it is Schumacher scoring no points today, still in third after his win in Monaco. And then it is Hamilton, Rosberg, Button, Kobayashi equal on points with Mark Webber. Raikkonen enters the table in 9th, Perez in 10. And then on the second page we see Felipe Massa with 5 points. And then in 12th, Daniel Ricciardo with the one hard-fought point we earned today. And this is how the Constructors' Championship looks like. Red Bull taking the lead ahead of Mercedes right now. McLaren in 3rd. Ferrari now finally ahead of the customer team of Sauber, which is in 5th. Then Lotus enters in 6th. With the 10 points Raikkonen scored today, and Toro Rosso with 1 point, now ahead of Force India, Williams and Caterham. And that has been it for the Canadian Grand Prix 2012. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and of course don't forget to subscribe to not miss any of these races. The next time we will be racing at Silverstone for the 2012 British Grand Prix. I hope to see you all there, and until then, goodbye.